Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I'll bring to you an opinion, which, I guess most of my shit on here is an opinion, huh? But I don't particularly love Bind, but we probably should. There's a chance that Bind might be the best map in the game. Why do I say this? Well, it seems like damn near every agent is playable on it, if not literally every agent. So, full disclosure, I've been scheming with Clove. I've have a working situation of what is the Clove comp, and I don't know if I'm going to make that video because Paper X just threw a wrench in that plan. Actually, more or less, I kind of followed the same pattern. Either way, I noticed that two of the teams that used Clove into this thing that I was doing were on Bind. Well, maybe Clove is maybe Bind is a Clove map. Maybe Clove is only a Bind agent, right? But we also saw another one in another place, and I'll just save that for that video, I guess. But then I remembered I said the same thing to myself about Vito when everybody's like, Vito is. Just take him on Bind. I guess that's probably his best one. Like that's the initial impression, okay? And then I remembered we said the same shit about the other Sentinels when they came in. About Deadlock, about Vice, about Chamber. Chamber is now more or less the Sentinel if you take one on Bind nowadays. Then I got to thinking a little bit more, and Clove controller. We also had Harbor, and well, OG Harbor initially was like, well, shit, take him to Bind. And the list goes on. The more you look at everybody in this roster, there's been a time where you've taken them to Bind. Even, some of the shit that you probably wouldn't do now, like Sova. There's a time where we had to take Sova to Bind because that was the only shit that we had to do. Yeah, Breach was there, but your only option of information was Sova. So you took Sova to Bind and you made it work. And even going through some of my personal uh, favorites of things that like should be on here, like looking at a KO, right? Let's go to KO. And when I was a KO main, there's shit that people just aren't doing in pro play that honestly probably would help them solve a lot of shit. Um, for instance, instead of throwing an eye that can get shot here or here, you just throw it here, and they're there. Or bam, or bam by being here. Yeah, this one's the one that you don't necessarily want to do, right? That's fair. And there's actually a lineup. Can't remember it for the life of me. Um, but you can actually get lineups to get them in these places too. You can get it to land fountain late, right? Uh, so there's that, and then on the attack, you can just throw it here. Bam! Somebody's playing close. Throw it against that back wall. Somebody either has to break it, or somebody in one of these corners is going to have a bad time. And hell, maybe even holding here if they're not paying attention, right? If you throw it against here, if you have to take U-Haul, or if somebody's there, they could be out here, right? Let's think about it. They could be here. They could be here, and you just go, oh, well, but now as the person with KO on your team, all right, get ready to take U-Haul. They don't have anything. And then what? Is somebody with no abilities going to run into U-Haul to contest you for it? I mean, they might, right? They might frenzy or judge run in there to combat you with it, but they don't have a fallback plan anymore, right? There's nothing there to help them. Even going to take A through showers, throw it here, right? Coming out. If somebody is holding, they have to address this, or they're just going to get screwed over by a suppressor now that somebody's there. And hell, if they're not holding it, right? If they're out here, right here on bench, by bench, I should say, they're getting suppressed. So like, I've made KO work on bind. Like, there's been shit that I've done that you can. There's fucking lineup over here. Literally could just throw it back here, and then if it gets shot out here, you have the same information. And thinking about like the scan information, right? What difference does it make if somebody shoots the dart and doesn't scan anybody here to knowing that there's three suppressed here? What difference does it make, really? But before I go too much further on KO, there's there. But again, looking at the initiator role, almost everybody's been here. Breach has been here. Silva's been here. Tejo was giga busted, so of course he has been here. You have Gecko. I think Bind might be the best map. Hell, even when Yoru was first, like, oh my gosh, what? Why the fuck is Tens playing Yoru? Oh my gosh, it's a Tens Asuna Yoru battle on Bind. Cause you go Bind to take the new shit. What the fuck? Paper Rex has brought out Reyna. Why the fuck are we on Reyna? And guess what? We're on Bind. Waylay has been seeing play on Bind. Phoenix was one of the OGs, so guess what? You took him to Bind. I think I think the only one here that I can't readily think of a time where he was played is ISO. And even then, I think there'd be a way. Like, I think there'd be a way. Right? There's a way. Somehow, some way. Same way you do a Viper wall and something other, you just do that. Maybe. Get your team out there so they can actually swing on that with the advantage. I don't know. Maybe not. But I will say, at the very least, you could do the same undercut bullshit that you would do for an Omen Paranoia. Right? Hell, maybe even save this for Plant. They tap it, you undercut, and then have a Shock Dart come in at about roughly the same time. Maybe. I don't know. Just saying. We've seen damn near everybody on Bind, but yet, somehow, it would appear that we don't love Bind more. And I wonder what that is. Like, I don't know many people that would say Bind is their favorite map. And it's kind of interesting. And it might be because we haven't solved Bind. Like, have we? We have always, for some time now, gone, yeah, throw Brim and Viper. Uh, Figure out the rest, I guess. We've put on, all right, we got Brim and Viper. And we're not doing Raze anymore. Who needs that boom bot when I have fucking Yoru, I guess, right? Yeah, we'll throw Sky, maybe. Maybe a Sky Gecko. Oh, maybe I am playing or something. Like, we've only really agreed on Brim Viper 9 times out of 10. And even then, I'm not terribly convinced that Brim needs to be here as often as he is. Like, what does Brim offer more than other people? Like, yes, this is cool to clear out all of you, Hall. You can clear out the back of Hookah. Alright, you can nuke the plant. Right, we can do that. We can molly the plant. Right, we can do that too. But we can also suck people off the plant. Right, we've known how to do that for quite some time. We can, I mean, we've definitely done Viper shit. And as we've seen Clove, we can definitely run at them and then smoke some shit. I guess it's more so that Brim happens to be able to give you 3 fucking smokes at the same time when you need them. Right? And until we get another agent that does that, maybe that's where we end up with Brim being the permanent fixture here. Right? Things are going wrong. You can just execute through Garden, smoke all of these off in a manner that no other agent can. But after those three smokes are down, you got about what 18 seconds of Brim smoke, I think, uh, to work with, and that's it. Just call it a day there. So I am keen to see more experimentation with Clove, maybe on a bind, but I think overall, I want more experimentation with bind as a whole. Because there's been a point in time that we've done damn near everything on it. So, while we are now looking at, alright, instead of Brim Viper, we've seen some Clove Viper, right? Maybe, just maybe, you take it a step further and switch up some other things. But this is all to say, I think Bind might just be the best map because we haven't figured it out, but we have at the same time. Everything goes on Bind, but we keep doing different things and going, no, that just throw it on Bind. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, if you like the video, like it. You got a comment from me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.